ladies and gentlemen, is affectionately and commonly referred to as the people's judge. His career on the bench has put many bad people behind bars, but on the other extreme, he's also seen to be the judge that has been able to get victories for people who are poor and marginalized. He started with very humble beginnings in Salt River, went to study at the University of Durban Westville in Durban, initially doing part-time selling of shoes, and today has become an acclaimed judge in our country. Goes on to become one of the celebrated people in the judiciary in the post-apartheid South Africa. Retired last year as a judge and nowadays serves as an ombudsman for the legal fraternity in South Africa. To speak on the topic today, ensuring justice for the people, the only insurance for our future, for the next 20 minutes, gives me great pleasure on calling upon Judge Siraj Desai.
Thank you, Sata. You forget one important aspect of my bio, which Ibrahim inadvertently referred to. He referred to the situation where, in the new election, individuals can stand for parliament on an individual basis. He also coupled that by saying that can lead to chaos. I incidentally anticipated that, and I gave an order in the last election that the issues be held as they were. Unfortunately, when the matter came up to the Constitutional Court with two good judges dissenting, they reversed my order and allowed now for future elections to take place with individuals participating. I can anticipate chaos, but let me go back to my speech. Thank you very much. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Assalamu alaikum to all of you and to our listeners and viewers. Thank you, Siddhartha, for inviting me. It's a privilege to speak on this occasion. It's a privilege to share the platform with such a distinguished gentleman. Although I generally differ with accountants. I never liked accountants. I could never count money. So I don't quite agree with you that the poor are not taxed. The poor are taxed horribly with VAT. The VAT applies to rich and poor alike. And the attempts to increase VAT impact not upon the rich but upon the poor. And secondly, the taxation rates, you can talk about it with aplomb, but the decrease of the taxation rate of corporate interests from 40% to 27%, and you say 18%, that hardly speaks of a government committed to the welfare of the poor. That speaks of a government or a taxation system predicated upon supporting commercial interests. Now, you also mentioned, I'm only targeting you because you're an accountant, not for any other reason, that the United States of America keeps going. It keeps going because it prints money, firstly. And secondly, Karl Marx predicted 150 years ago that the collapse of the financial system will be predicated upon the collapsing of the banks. The banks in America are collapsing. Two of them have collapsed now. A bank in Europe has collapsed. So I don't know about America keep on going. And secondly, and finally, China is there. And China and some of the other BRICS countries, Iran in particular, are talking of going off the dollar currency. That will affect America. And for me, for whatever political position I say, inshallah, it will happen, that America will collapse. Yeah, thank you for that. Thank you for that claim. But the important thing, I just had the privilege, I was ill in hospital, so I had time to read books that are less right reading. And I read the book by Stephen Du Toit on the ANC billionaires. I was wanting to know how people became billionaires in the short period of time that we were free. But I came to page 110 before I came to any suggestion how people became billionaires. Very little of the book deals with how people suddenly became billionaires. Almost the entire book is predicated upon the thesis that business people brought about change in this country. You and I did nothing. That change in this country was negotiated and finalized by business interests. And they quote extensively my good friend and childhood friend Trevor Manuel, they quote Jay Naidu as people who they consulted with. But they lose sight of the brave struggles that were waged on the streets of this town and in Wankie and elsewhere in Africa to free this country. I think business is trying to create a false narrative there. But what is important is this, and that gives us a moment of hope today. And that is that we are able to gather here, that it's 12 months before an election. There are no Saracens outside, nobody carrying AK-47s in this mosque. Nobody storming this mosque, seems to be their current tradition. So it means it's a period of hope in that whatever is predicted for the future, we can participate in that future by meeting as communities and debating the outcome of the election results. I know that the majority of people in Cape Town, unlike how well you think the city is run, the majority of people vote in this country, in this province, for the most reactionary party, the party that represents, in the final analysis, it represents only the rich and only white interests. But that's politics. I'm a judge. I'm not supposed to get into politics. But ultimately that is, and also it is the same party, incidentally, which has not uttered a word, not a word in support of the victims of Al-Aqsa. Not a word. So, I mean, politics is like that, but it does not mean that the situation is hopeless. There are moments when we gather thousands on the streets to advocate a better future. And the fact that we can do so gives us hope. You know, right at the beginning, recently this chap, Mr. Thabo, no, why should I call him Mr. Thabo Bester, escaped from prison. He escaped from a private prison. Now let me tell you the origins of a private prison in this country. I was the national chairman of correctional services when that issue was introduced 2000. When the issue was introduced, let me just tell you the background, the legal position is this. Before there is any change in the correctional services system, you must send it to the National Council for debate. That issue, the introduction of private prisons, was not sent to the National Council for debate. When I realized it, when I saw the contract, they showed me the contract to be signed with the private prison system, I sent one of our people to raise it with government. And we were given a very simple answer. The PPPs are non-negotiable. The public-private partnerships are non-negotiable. They built 2 private prisons in this country. And after the 2 prisons were built, it was found to be the most expensive prisons in the country to run. And the system was scanned after that. But what's more important was that the private prisons abdicate state responsibility to private interests. If they had asked me to debate it then, I would have debated it then. That America has this large system of imprisonment, because they have private prisons. The private prisons actually lobby for a great amount of people to be detained in custody so as to increase their profits. So, again, Mr. Accountant, public-private partnerships hardly seem an answer to what we are looking for in this country. It may be so, business-wise, and may cut off a piece and make it work. But where state interests are involved, where national interests are involved, I think a national command is probably more of greater importance. That that we could work on something like that. But that is, you're not necessarily wrong. I may be wrong. But what this moment creates for all of us, this moment of elections pending, of debating this country, what is to become in this country, it gives us, we can debate these issues. That's what your session here is very important, Satarbai, in that we are able to debate the issue as they develop. Besides the private partnerships, you know, the system, when this country became free, it just followed, if you follow the Stephen de Toit principle, it followed the business model and created the current society one finds oneself. We can re-debate that. There's nothing cast in stone. We are the citizens of this country, and we can equally participate in the debates to create a new South Africa. You know, let me not be too pretentious, but you know, the two important events in world history were not Arab Springs, Mr. Esa. Were not Arab Springs. The two important events in world history are the actual world revolutions. The first was the Great French Revolution. And that revolution did not come about simply by people storming the Bastille, as they told you at schools, but it was underpinned by thinking. It was underpinned by philosophers such as Jean-Jacques Rousseau, Diderot. They created the concept, they introduced the ideas of what modern democracy should look like. And then 200 years later was the Great Russian Revolution, probably one of the greatest events of the last century, where the first socialist structure was implemented. But that too didn't come about simply by people standing up and saying, we want this or that type of order. It was underpinned by debate, bitter debates. Lenin and Trotsky differed. Trotsky differed with Stalin to the effect that he got a pickaxe in his back. But the point is this, they differed. There's nothing wrong in standing up and taking up different positions as I'm doing with you today. We should take up different positions, but we should be honest in our debates. We should be honest and say who is right and who is wrong and who is not in the interests of the poor. Ultimately, we must create a society in which poverty is eradicated. Why is this the most unequal society in the world? Why is it that the situation worsened since 1994 to now? Can we blame any particular grouping, or do we blame ourselves for that situation arising? We must do as they did in all preceding events of great moment, debate the issue amongst ourselves, not run away from a debate, face each other in an open and frank manner and debate what the issues are. This is a moment, as I said earlier on, and I agree with the last speaker, that it's not a moment for despair. I take the view, and I do those as a revolutionary. Hope is cardinal to advocating a revolutionary change, is that we stand up with hope, we stand up without fear, and we debate a future society in which the poor shall triumph. Thank you.